2026 is upon us already. Can you believe it? Let's tune in and see what's coming up for us month by month in this year. It's a 1 year. It's time for us to make the most of it. Come join me. Hello, all. I'm Stacy, the Black Feather Intuitive, and I am so excited to be connecting with you guys for our collective year in preview for 2026. And I don't know about you guys, but I barely made it through 2025. And when I looked back at the collective reading for 2025, it's so funny when it comes through me at the time. I'm not really like connected to it. Like I'm receiving the information and I don't really have a clear idea on how it's actually going to come to pass. But listening to it on the flip side, like my eyes are just like wide open, like, okay, yeah, this happened and then this happened and then this happened. And I didn't see it happening quite in this way, but wow, that's what they were talking about. So I am really excited to be connecting to this 2026 year. Let's talk a little bit, really briefly, before I pull cards for you guys, because this is a 1 year. 2025 was a 9 year. Nines are about endings, resolutions, conclusions. It's all about how we are in service. And, I want to say to you, it felt like a tower year. You know what I mean? Like everything came crashing down and there's really nothing left. We're kind of walking through the rubble of what previously existed. And we can't go backwards. We can only go forwards. And that's what 2026 is bringing. It's numerologically a 1 year. And it's not the Fool card. It's not a zero in pure potential. It's actually the Magician. And the Magician card is all about using the resources that you have at your fingertips to alchemize, to co-create, to manifest, to put together things that are going to be very beneficial to you on your journey moving forward. And that is why I have this year chosen to pull cards from this particular set of decks. We have the Awaken Tarot, and this is the Magician card. PS and FYI on that Awaken Tarot. So I thought that was very fitting. And we are also going to be pulling an oracle card. This is the Goddess Power Oracle from Colette Baron Reed. And it was very important to me. My guides were telling me that we have that divine feminine energy represented throughout each month that we are tapping in. So the divine feminine, I feel, is really what is going to save us, as it were. So without further ado, let's get to it and start pulling and I'm going to pull an overarching theme for 2026 first and just sort of see what we need to know about that. Because it is a big year. This is a year where collectively we all get to come together and say, what is it that we really want? Now that everything has come crashing down and there's no going back, this is the opportunity to say, we want something completely new. Go big or go home. And it's okay if we throw some spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. It's okay if we make some broken eggs because everything is in shambles anyway. So we can't hurt anything by trying some new things. And I feel like that's really important. So the overarching theme is Nine of Wands, and Nine of Wands is a card of resistance. And I feel like this is so important when we're talking about that resistance energy. We are the resistance in a lot of ways. We are the resistance. We are definitely needing to have some resilience. And that is what coming out of that 9 year is influencing this 1 year coming into the mix. And it is time for us to understand that we need to, as a people, as a species, as humanity, we need to be more inclusive. We need to include everyone, every living, breathing creature, every I want to say everything that is connected to Mother Earth. We are all connected. We are all part of an ecosystem. We don't work well when we have, I want to say one aspect trying to take over and dominate all aspects. It's just like what we see in nature all the time. If the weeds aren't kept in line, if they don't have a place and a purpose, if they're not completely understood, they can take over a particular part of the garden or eventually take over the entire garden. And that's not good for anyone. So the overarching theme as the Nine of Wands here is really saying to each of us, 2026 is going to be about the resilience, taking control of what you can control, understanding that, yes, there is a lot of work to do. Yes, there is exhaustion, quite frankly. We are all exhausted in our own ways, whether it's on an individual level or a collective level. There is that I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted. And so I want to say in this card also comes the message of paying attention to your self-care, being resilient and choosing resistance to what is no longer working for you and stepping more fully into the flow of what is going to be a big aspect that is woven throughout this 2026 year. Let's pull a goddess card for our overarching theme. This will be interesting. Last year's goddess was Lilith. And wow, did she ever bring it. So this year we have Danu, assurance. Let me just flip the camera over here. Yeah, okay, we got it. Sorry, first day with all my new tech. So we have Danu, assurance. Oh, I love this. So yes, there's resistance, resilience, there's issues of control, but then Danu comes in to say, I assure you that all is well. If you continue on your path, if you continue to, build what you need to build, if you continue to work together rather than separately, your success is assured. Nothing can pull you asunder. I find it also very fantastic that it is a 10, new beginnings based on an already established foundation, and this is a 1 year. So we are being influenced in 26 by the 2025 9 year, and we are moving into that 1 year. And the goddess that we have chosen is connected to that energy. Wow. Okay. So moving that to the side, let's now go into January. What do we need to know, guides, about our January? Oh, I love this. Queen of Pentacles. So Queen of Pentacles here, I feel, is really speaking to us at this particular point in time about understanding what we need to put our focus to in terms of gratitude, focusing on the things that we already have, understanding that we create our own garden. We create the foundation through which we survive and thrive. And this Queen of Pentacles, she actually looks really tired. And I think that's interesting considering we were just talking about that same energy. Because she's tired here, I feel like January is a month where we are going to be not only taking an account of all the wonderful things that we have, but we're also intentionally doing that because we are resting up and recharging. We are taking that rest before the big game. And I feel like towards the end of January, we are going to be noticing a little more of that big game energy, being called to, sort of step into different opportunities, saying yes to things, stepping into a new vision, being called or invited to participate in different things. And this is on an individual level as well as a collective level. And I feel like the Queen of Pentacles says, you've got the resources. I've got everything that you could possibly need for you to be able to actually get done what you need to get done. It might be bootstrapping it. It might not be that you have the avocado slicer in the drawer, but I certainly have a sharp paring knife for you that you can make work. And I feel like that's going to be kind of the energy of January, is being able to kind of think outside the box, understanding that not everything is necessarily going to be super easy or super convenient. But whatever it is that you need to get done, you're going to have the opportunity to get it done because you will have things that can help you. There will be resource available to you. You may have to assemble before you can make it work for you, which takes a little bit of extra time. Again, not so much the convenience of it, but you are going to have what it is that you need. I'm also feeling, as I'm tapping into this energy, when we're looking at the Queen of Pentacles, January is going to bring kind of a new thought from, how do I put this? So speaking of like resistance, when we were talking about the Nine of Wands, this to me feels a little bit like getting stuck in the old ways. So Queen of Pentacles is very comfortable sitting on her throne, surrounded by all of the things and the stuff, because she's already put the work in to have the things that she needs. She feels the abundance. She also trusts in the laws of nature, in the seasons, in the fact that everything just happens to flow, and all she needs to do is tend to what is there, and to be, I want to say, accepting of what is, and that makes things a little bit easier. But there's also a component to this Queen of Pentacles that is so used to having all of these things and all of this stuff that she doesn't necessarily understand anymore what it's like to start from scratch. And I do feel that for a lot of us in January, there's going to be that feeling of, okay, wow, I'm so happy that I've got clarity, or I've got this direction, or I know that this is where I want to head, but I wasn't anticipating the extra work and effort that goes into having to literally start something from scratch. So this is that Queen of Pentacles energy. Again, you're going to have all the things that you need, but you need to kind of build in a little bit of extra time in order to sort of make that happen. I'm also getting on a, I want to say on a sort of just an overall predictive level, that January is going to bring about some up and down and some unknown in regards to global situations that involve people's well, what I'm hearing is livelihood, but I want to say lives. So I feel like, we might be talking about certain wars that are continuing at this point. We might be tapping into people's needs outside of our own. But when we're also talking about livelihood, it's money, it's career, it's the financial resources. And what I keep seeing sort of mid-January is there is an idea or a suggestion that is made that actually it kind of feels like it's a bit out of left field. And on the front of it, everyone thinks it's a great idea, but no one knows kind of how that'll actually work. But then you get a couple of people that come in, maybe from the corporate sector, who've done something similar in a larger scale. And you get people that come in and provide a plan that is adaptive to sort of making it work for a larger grouping of people. And again, I'm seeing this being global. So a number of countries coming together, to sort of pool their resources and come into that. So there's an idea that gets birthed in January, and I feel like it's announced kind of mid-January, and then there's going to be a lot of opportunity to connect to what that is, to maybe step up and say, I can help in this way, or this is how I can bring this to my community, or yes, I would be interested in this if this was offered. So I feel that there are really great ideas being birthed that are going to be able to be implemented pretty quickly to stop some chaos that's been going on. Aside from that, I have no idea how it's going to turn out, but I do feel that it's something that more people than not are going to be really excited about. And a lot of people are going to feel called to do their part, to play their part in that. Wow, here is our goddess that's going to support us in January, Kuan Yin. And it's compassion. And I feel like this makes a lot of sense, especially when we are referring to changing things up to make things better for people's livelihood, but also people's lives. I feel like January is going to, not only do we have that compassion piece, but I feel like January is also going to bring about hope and like actionable steps to make that hope become something real, to make that hope become the reality, that hope moves into an actual thing that betters the situation. Also seeing that we're going to receive some kind of interesting information around the school system, and I see a fracture of sorts. So, like one group going one way, one group going another way in terms of the school system. This does feel like it goes beyond public versus private. I feel like this might be a fracture in the public system itself, where one, I don't know what to call it, faction of the public system decides to come together and they kind of figure it out in their district or their space, and then there's another group that decides to maybe do things kind of in the same way. I feel like this is not necessarily a good thing. I feel like one group will be really successful and the other group might not be successful, or because we're stronger together, there's very little success on either side. But I do feel that it is it's going to be a learning curve, and there are going to be some pretty unfortunate things that occur during that, I'm going to say that semester from January probably until June, where things really break down in a way. And then there's a better solution that's presented sort of further on in the year. So we'll have to kind of pay attention to that and see what's coming up. Okay, so let's check out February. February feels lighter. February also feels more determined. Like I feel like the energy of a mother who says, not my kid. Nope, not my kid. I don't know why I'm saying that. So I'm going to tell you, I'm not a mother of human children. I am a stepmother. It's different for me. It's a little bit different. But I am a mother of the fur babies. And so I can relate to it in that regard, that, you know, you're making fun of my dog, or you don't like my dog, or you're trying to kick at my dog. Oh, hell no. You know, that hell hath no fury, right? So I feel like there's going to be a little bit of that energy, and maybe that's the divine masculine or divine feminine that is coming through, to say protection. Like, no, you're not going to do this. There's no fear in that. No, you know, when a motherly energy, or even a fatherly energy, but speaking in terms of divine feminine, that protector piece comes in. There's no fear of the consequences to you. You are literally getting, like, you're standing in the way of something hurting your child, right? Or your pet, your dog, your little fur baby. You're like, I don't care what's going on. And I'm not even thinking in terms of the consequences. I'm just standing up and saying, absolutely not. So it feels lighter, but I also feel like it feels lighter because there's sort of this sense of empowerment. that comes up, but it's like an instant empowerment. It's not something that you're thinking about. It's something that just comes out. So let's see. Oh yeah, King of Wands. So I love the King of Wands energy because, this archetype is very congenial. A lot of people like this archetype. This is someone who's funny and got a little charisma. As my nephew would say, he's got Riz. I'm learning all of these things. Yes. And so this is someone who's got it all together. This is the entrepreneurial card. This is the person who says, I've been there and done that and figured all the things out. So nothing phases me. If I get a really cool idea or you're approaching me with an idea, let's talk briefly about it and then let's just do it and figure out, as we go along the way, all the steps that we can take. There's no fear with the King of Wands. And I think that's really important. And I feel like that is something that's really coming up right now in February. And that really matches what I was tapping into with that kind of mama bear energy, right? Of not today, not my child, right? Not my kid, not my fur baby. I feel like February is going to bring about a lot of shift and shake up, but it's in a way that I feel is a little more controlled. So the way I would describe this is it's like King of Wands comes in, and because he's already done all the work, because he's been there and done that and bought the t-shirt so many freaking times, he's very comfortable with what's happening here. And you throw any shift at him and he's saying, okay, there's an app for that. I'll figure it out. We will figure it out. You will figure it out. And there's like a built-in confidence when it comes to that. I feel like here, when we're talking about that February energy, there's going to be some more misinformation and disinformation that's coming out. But what's really interesting about it is that when it comes out, people see right through it instantly. And I don't know exactly how that backlash is going to come to pass, but it feels like, how do I put this? Like, I use this analogy all the time. It's the Wizard of Oz. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. I'm still the great and powerful Oz. And you're like, yeah, no, you're not. And it's not as pleasant and polite as Dorothy and her companions were in regards to that situation. It actually feels a little more like swift, like a swift deflation of that nonsense. And I see there being something pretty big coming out of that on the other side. I want to say I feel a lot of triumph. I feel a lot of win. And I feel like there may even be some shift in power. Now, I will say I live in the United States, so I am in February right now feeling that what I'm kind of talking about is US related, but I'm also feeling that whatever this is, it's going to affect all of the other it's going to affect the world. It's going to affect us globally. And I feel like it's going to be a yes, finally kind of energy. So that feels really important. I'm getting something medical as well. So I'll talk about that in a second, but I wanted to show what our goddess is. Yuki Onna, stillness. So I feel like this goddess is coming through because she's saying, like King of Wands, like I said, he doesn't have any fear about anything that he decides to pursue. He just goes ahead because he knows we'll figure it out as we go. But he tends to be like a mover and a shaker. Yuki Onna is coming through to give us that pause. Whatever it is that you're considering moving towards, by all means, move towards it. But take a moment to get still with yourself first. Because in the stillness are the answers. I'm really drawn here to the fact that we've got, the fire energy, the oranges, the reds, the yellows, all the lower chakras. And then we have this gorgeous blue, that high heart chakra energy. It's soothing, it's calming. This is a perfect balance to the go, go, go in the fire. Now, King of Wands is not as, I want to say, active as a Queen of Wands would be. It feels not lazy, certainly not lazy. There's nothing lazy about this card, but there's a certain level of, there are certain things I don't have to do anymore because I'm the king. And so I have other people who can do that for me. This says, don't forget that we are kind of starting from scratch here. We are reinventing the wheel in essence. And this is our superpower. Our superpower is the stillness, the quiet, the going within, and the listening to our intuition, listening to our inner guidance, listening to our gut before we take a step forward. I mentioned that I'm also getting information around medical related stuff. I feel like there's something here in the US that is going to break down completely. Like, it's already in the process of that, but I feel like it's going to break down completely, and it's going to be like a quick succession kind of situation. I almost feel like an anonymous benefactor steps in and like basically gives money, doesn't give money to the system to fix the thing that's broken, but provides a different place for people to go for that thing. I don't know if this is in terms of our health benefits or if this is money that that goes into specific hospitals. But what I keep feeling is anybody who needs treatment, they're going to get treatment, and it feels like it's covered or it's subsidized. So I feel like there's a broken system, like the system just completely disintegrates, and there's malice intent behind it. But then there's kind of the knight in white shining armor, so to speak, that shows up and provides an alternate option, an alternate solution. It's a temporary fix, but it is the kind of solution that really gets a lot of people out of a bind. So that feels really good. It could also be a conglomerate of benefactors. It might not just be one, it might be a grouping of people. And what I really like about this is when this gets started, it encourages others because now there's a foundation, there's a bit of a structure that people can say, okay, well, I would never have thought to do that, but I'd like to contribute. I'd like to help. And so I feel like that's going to snowball. So February really feels like we are going to be, from a medical perspective here in the US, kind of getting out of a sticky wicket. Globally, for those of you who are not living in the US, I feel like you're watching what is transpiring, and I feel like maybe you guys are even stepping in to contribute. Maybe it's contributing money. I doubt that. I feel more like it's contributing knowledge, wisdom, systematic practices that are utilized maybe in your country. And so I feel kind of a banding together that occurs around a medical system, medical advice. I also feel like there's an outbreak that when I'm recording this, I'm recording this actually in October of 2025. I have been seeing for a while, and I saw it in my year in preview in 2025 as well, the general collective reading, that there was going to be an outbreak towards the end of the year. We're starting to see signs of that. I feel that in February, something has gotten so bad that this also kind of contributes to what this is. So there's a lot that's moving and shaking. Okay, March. March, we have Four of Wands. I love this. So Four of Wands is like the marriage card. I see this card as a card of contracts for me. It is the understanding that we are going in partnership from level 1 to level 2, or level 4 to level 5. Like there's a leveling up that is occurring here, but there is also an understanding that we have more wisdom and knowledge. We both are agreeing to move ahead. This is a contract that benefits both of us. And I feel like in March, we are going to be overall seeing more of this coming up. Opportunities where people normally, like what I'm seeing in my mind's eye is like credit card companies, for example. You know that, it's always rigged in their favor. It's really high interest rates. And you basically sign your life away if you want to get anything. I know for me, moving from Canada, I had great credit. I owned a couple of homes. I had 3 businesses. I paid my taxes. I was doing really well. And I moved over here. I got married, and everything was fine because I was under my ex-husband's information and under his stuff. So like my credit was attached to his credit, and so my credit score was fantastic. And when I divorced him, having done nothing wrong, everything remaining the same, paying bills on time and not having any, bad stuff on my credit score dropped almost 200 points just because I got divorced. And my credit card stuff, I went to the bank to get a loan or a line of credit to help me out, and nobody would give me any money. And I was like, how does this make any sense? It doesn't compute. I've got all the right criteria, but because I don't own a home, you feel that I'm too high of a risk. This is the kind of thing. And so, sorry, I digress, squirrel. So what I ended up having to do was the only place that I could get money was through a credit card. And the credit card is at like, I don't know, I don't want to tell you a lie, but I think it's like 20% or something like that. I mean, like it's crazy. So my point is, I feel like in March, we are finding that more often than not, unbalanced contracts that we have been involved in, physical contracts, are going to be renegotiated. Everything is on the table for negotiation. I'm also feeling on a personal level, when we are talking about relationships, that is the case too. If we aren't leveling up together, and if we're not both in agreement as to how we're going to move forward in our dynamic, in our friendship, in our relationship, in our family dynamic, in our work environment, then we are going to evaluate that contract and maybe break the contract or make the contract null and void and move on to something that is going to be more aligned. I'm also hearing very much fire energy, fire. I feel like in March, there could be a large fire event. I'm being shown the big fires in Chicago. I want to say I think it was 2017, 1917, 1918. I could be wrong on that timing. But it took out the city. I don't want to scare anyone. Dun, dun, dun. I don't feel like it's going to take out an entire city and devastate an entire city the way that Chicago was devastated, over a century ago. But I will say to you, I feel that level of devastation. So we experienced that not too long ago with the LA fires. I feel like something like that is coming up again. And that's something that we're going to have to contend with in terms of, I see large groups of people coming together. I will say to you, I do feel like this is connected to an island. And I do feel that this is connected to the United States. And I see other states and other countries coming in to assist with a particular fire situation. And what's really, I want to say it's going to be a disappointment, but also a huge opportunity, is what gets destroyed, I feel is absolutely devastating. We're going to lose a lot of maybe history, a lot of, an important resource. But what I'm seeing going in there on the other side is actually something that feels like it's connected to energy supply, energy source that is going to be free and fair for all. So there's something good that's going to come out of it. It'll take years before we, see that, but I'm just kind of tapping into that energy. And let's take a look at our goddess for March. Demeter, the nurturer. Wow, we could really use some nurturing during this time, especially with this, contracts, because I want to say it's never an easy experience. Oh, sorry, I thought I was using a different camera. It's never an easy experience when we are negotiating contracts, when we are shifting things up, when things are uncertain, or we're having to assert ourselves and to say, here's what's going to work best for me. And I feel like Demeter's coming through to give nourishment, to give support, to give encouragement around, yes, this is what you want to be doing. This is, I'm going to support you in getting your needs met. I also feel like there's going to be an announcement made around food. I want to say this feels like it almost okay. So it feels like it might be genetically modified, but there's something about it that is good, like it's genetically modified in a good way, or chemically restructured to be more beneficial. So it's not a bunch of chemicals being put into the food. It feels more like, from a biological perspective, the way that they are genetically modifying it feels like it's actually going to be more nurturing and supportive to the body. I keep seeing beans in this regard, so it feels like it's connected to a staple, and I see a lot of wide distribution connected to beans. So something that the world, it'll feed the world kind of thing. And I know I'm saying things and you're like, what the hell? No, genetically modified is bad. I know, I won't eat it myself. But this feels a little bit different. So we're growing in our technology all the time. Things are getting better. And I feel like this is something that's going to be announced in March. So we'll have to play it by ear and see what comes as a result. April, let's tap into April. April feels like in the workforce, on the work sector, big changes in positive ways. I see a lot of growth with career, a lot of growth with jobs. I feel like new jobs, different jobs. Necessity is the mother of invention. And I feel like there's going to be something that transpires in this first quarter of the year that causes everyone to then say, oh, here is a new industry that we didn't anticipate. But now suddenly it makes sense. There are a lot of people who are needing this thing. And so let's move into this thing. So that feels really positive. We'll dive into a little bit more. Yeah, King of Pentacles. So definitely feeling that we are talking about coming off of that Four of Wands and me tapping into that food thing, the food source. I do feel in April that there is this new industry or new subsection of an industry that suddenly, like immediately, needs people, needs workers, needs individuals who are willing to learn on the job. From speaking US wise, from an immigration perspective, I see also a lot of people who were harmed, taken advantage of, whatever. I see a lot of what's the word I would use? Resolution there, recompense, justice stepping up, a pathway to justice. Lots of lawsuits, lots of money coming into the mix. Lots of money being stripped from people who took it, who weren't supposed to take it in the first place. And it goes to these individuals who were harmed. Um, I do feel that April is also going to bring about some weird distribution issues. So, things not being able to come into the country due to certain interim policies that have come into the mix. I feel like there's also going to be some challenge when it comes to warfare and weaponry that's going to have everyone a little bit on guard. And then I feel something comes in to change it up. And I feel like a grouping of people converging on the problem, on the issue. And I see a resolve. But I do see us having some maybe 2 weeks worth of heightened anxiety, fear, people not being sure what exactly is going on, what exactly is transpiring, people being on high alert. Um, and I feel that it gets resolved. I also feel like family stuff is coming up in April. Families reuniting. This could also be connected to the immigration thing that I'm seeing, reuniting of families. But I also want to say, on an individual level, family members who've perhaps been estranged for some time, there's a pathway to resolution there, coming together, forgiveness coming up. Maybe not like 100%, but there's movement in the right direction. And so I feel a lot of this healing energy that's coming up in April. And here is our goddess, time, Arianrod. I love this card. So, I often say that time really is an illusion. Like we have time here on planet Earth. We have time here um, because that's part of the game. It gives us a structure to, and guardrails to be able to live the life and to play the game, to have the experiences. Without it, there might not be any pressure to do a thing or to learn a thing or to get that soul growth. But what I do feel here is that I just keep feeling like now is our time as a human race, as a grouping of people. Now is our time. So I feel like there's a global event that makes this really obvious, that reminds people that people are people, no matter where you come from, no matter what, color of skin you are, no matter what gender or non-binary or whatever you are, people are people. And there's a global event that brings us all together. I don't feel that this is necessarily a natural disaster. I have my suspicions on what it is, but I'm not going to say it. I feel like it's something that truly is going to bring how do I put this? It's going to bring the world together. It's just going to bring us all together. We're not going to have a choice but to work together to acknowledge or to make more of it, to take advantage of it, to make sure that everyone has got what they need in relation to that. And I want to say it feels like now is our time. Interesting. May. Let's see what we got going on in May. I feel some like hollow. I feel the word hollow. And hollow not in the like hollowed out and I'm spent and everything is awful. More like hollow. I have space that I now can fill. Hollow from the perspective of I've never known myself in this way before. I've never seen myself or experienced myself in this way before because I've never bothered to, take the time to sit in that stillness. We did get that message. I think that was in February, was the stillness goddess. Hollow. And I feel like the question in May is what do we want to fill this hollow with? Do we want to fill this hollow with anything? Interesting. 5 of Swords. So, this is like when it all costs. Was it worth it? Do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? It's all about that conflict. And I feel like the reason why the 5 of Swords is coming up is not because there's going to be like a major conflict as much as the things that are transpiring in May are as a result of previous conflict. And we are now having to pick up the pieces. We are now having to clean up the mess that was made. But what's really interesting about this is I see a very clear path. I feel like May is going to, especially like in the new business and small business sector, there's going to be a new path, a new resolution, a new something passed that makes it actually more beneficial to go into business for yourself for a lot of people than it will be to actually kind of work in the corporate world. Now, this isn't to say, everybody's going to be leaving their corporate jobs and corporate's not going to exist anymore. No, that's not what this is about. Not everybody has entrepreneurial aspirations. But for those who are in a small business, and I'm seeing that very specifically, small business, entrepreneurial small business, maybe a little medium business, but mostly small business. It's kind of like there are incentives, there are programs, there are people, excuse me, your local community decides after whatever distribution issues we had in, I think it was April, that we no longer want to be beholden in those ways. We want to be able to protect ourselves. And so I feel like there's going to be a resurgence of people choosing to support local. You see it all the time right now, support local, this, support local, that. Certain people really do that and they only buy local. This feels like we're taking it up to that next level. And it's as a result of being left behind in a conflict that we didn't even start. So, like, I want to say, yes, I'm speaking collectively. This is the general energies of 2026. But I feel on an individual level, you're going to be feeling some of this energy. Now, for those of you who don't have small business aspirations, what I'm feeling here is you might be the person, your family might be the family, your friends might be the friends that choose to support those local businesses, right? We all have a part to play in all of that. You can't be in business if you don't have things to sell. You can't be in business if you don't have people to sell them to. And so we all play our part. I also am feeling that there's going to be some kind of earthquake or volcanic eruption event that I do feel leads to some pretty extreme loss of life. My heart is breaking about that. And what I want to say to you is it feels like it's in an unexpected area. So, geologists know the hotspots. They can pretty much predict what volcanoes may be ready or close to an eruption. This feels like it comes completely out of the blue. So I'm not sure where this is going to occur. I'm not getting a sense that it is North America, but it is going to affect a largish population. And it's something that I feel we're all going to feel the effects of. In fact, I feel like we might even have ash in the air for a particular period of time as a result of that. All right. Yeah. Isis, rebirth. So this actually makes a lot of sense, just given what I was tapping into is that, Mother Earth, we're doing all of our bullshit down here on planet Earth, and Mother Earth is still doing what she needs to do. She's shifting and changing in amongst all of our shift and change. Our chaos is her chaos. Her chaos is our chaos. Again, we're all connected. And I feel like Goddess Isis is coming through to say, understand the natural process of these life cycles, that this isn't happening to punish you. This isn't happening because you're bad people. This is happening because, you've played your part. And the only way we learn is through experience, through empathy, through the understanding, empathy, and in some cases, sympathy, through the understanding of what that feels like. If I pinch you and you scream, ouch, and I go and I keep pinching you, when you pinch me back and then I feel it for the first time, I stop pinching you because I understand, oh, wow, that hurt. And I'm sorry that I did that to you. I didn't realize, but now I know, right? When we know better, we do better, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Not everybody, but the majority of us, right? So I feel like May is really bringing about a lot of that energy, and Goddess Isis is definitely contributing in that way. She's saying, this is the life cycle. This is part of, it's all meant to happen this way. It's not a victimization. Poor pitiful us, our poor humanity. No, it's all right, humanity, you have the resources to be flexible. So be flexible. Shift up your approaches in life. Shift up the dynamics that you have in the world. If you're living in a, 6-bedroom home with a 3-car garage and you're up to your eyeballs in debt, it's perfectly acceptable to go down to a 3-bedroom home, and you'll still have all the same things, and you'll live a better life as a result of that. So rebirthing, and I want to say kind of like a little checkup from the neck up, and a little bit of that motherly, not tough love, but like, yeah, like you're not the only person on the planet, and we all have to live together and stick together and make this work for us. So I want to say, I feel almost like that teenage energy where like you think that your shit doesn't stink and the whole world is available to you, and it is, but you think there are no consequences. And I feel like May just really brings about the kind of how fragile we are in a lot of ways, and how each of us needs to be accountable because we all play our part. And every action you make, butterfly effect, every action you take has an effect. It has a ripple effect. Whether you're aware of it or not, it does. It matters. June, Page of Cups. Interesting. So Page of Cups is a messenger. It's also about creativity. I feel like June is going to be a very interesting month. I'm hearing turning point. I'm seeing a lot of conflict that has been going on for a long time in the world that now gets deflated, cut back by half, or more, or just stopped. I'm feeling a group of countries, people, groups, organizations coming together with a very solution-based, a forward momentum, solution-based Um, well, solution. I don't know why. I'm having a hard time spitting that out. Solution. And a lot of people are getting on board. I feel that June is like a very action oriented month and nothing's going to stop it. And I feel like the Page of Cups is coming through to basically like shift up the way that we receive messages and information, to shift up levels of communication, to enhance levels of communication, new ways to get your message across. This could very much be AI based. And I keep seeing these, I don't know what to call them, maybe for lack of better words, like a statue. Statues that go up all over the place. I'm thinking about like old fashioned telephone poles. Well, now we don't have those. We have like Wi-Fi towers, right? So it's going to be something like that. These statues that are going all around. You know, it might even be a situation where we have publicly mandated Wi-Fi, right? So like everywhere you go in public now, there's just a standard Wi-Fi. Be careful from a security perspective about that, because we can't always trust everything that comes out. Things are really good, but you have not so, good people or people who are motivated by bad things working with those good things. So we always need to be aware of that. But it's like little statues of things going up all over the place that improves things for people. And it feels like it's one less thing that we have to pay for extra or on top of. It's more like something that you pay for through your taxes. So it's available to everyone. You do pay for it, but you don't pay for it out of your pocket. You pay for it out of your taxes. And I feel like this is going to vastly improve the way that people are able to connect with one another, not only from a local perspective, but from a global perspective. I'm also seeing that there's going to be some kind of interesting global initiative. Like I'm being shown the emergency broadcasting system that we have here in North America. It feels kind of like that on a global level. Forgive me, I don't know exactly how it's going to look or operate even, but I'm hearing that it's beneficial to everyone. And when it goes in place, suddenly we feel like the world feels closer. The world feels smaller, not in like a bad way, smaller as in we're all closer. We're all able to connect in much easier ways. I'm also seeing that there is, oh wow, something coming up around new ways of currency. So not crypto, but almost something like where people have, how do I put that? It's so weird to me, so it's hard for me to put it into words, but it's kind of like an app where you go on the app and it's like a trading app. Let's call it like a trading app. So like you need 4 loaves of bread and you don't have any loaves of bread, but you do have flour. You don't have eggs and all the things to make the bread, but you do have a couple pounds of flour. So you go on this thing and you see who's got those 4 loaves of bread for you. And that person is like, oh, okay, great. Well, I don't need that flour actually. So maybe they do, but I don't need that flour. But my friend actually needs that flour. So I'm going to send this to my friend. My friend's going to get your flour. I'm going to give you your bread. And then my friend's got something for me, concert tickets. And through that exchange, everybody gets what they need. So it's kind of like a Nextdoor or like a Facebook marketplace, but it's like for money and commodity and things that are needed. And it feels like it's a trade thing. I see this becoming a big new trend that eventually becomes more of a norm. It's not going to replace money necessarily. I don't feel that, but I will say to you in the coming years, it's going to get bigger and bigger and more efficient and effective, where people are going to be able to get the things that they need without money actually having to exchange hands for certain things. I feel for whatever reason that is coming up here in June. So something being announced, an app being released, I don't know, but there's something big coming out. Okay, let's pull a goddess card for June. Oh, we have Freya, radical acceptance. Wow. So I said to you, this is a big turning point. And I feel like the only way that we can have a true turning point connection is if we are in radical acceptance of what is. We can no longer live in the idea that, oh, I wish I could go back to what was. Like, don't waste your time on that. Don't waste your time on those thoughts. We can't go back. And quite frankly, nor do we want to, because what we would go back to wouldn't be good either. We're in the process of creating new. Again, this is a 1 year. So we are at the beginning, we are reinventing the wheel. But as I have been saying for a couple of years now, when we're talking about that concept of reinventing the wheel, we're at a point in time where we need to ask those questions. Does the wheel still really serve us in the way that we think? So much has changed over the last, I don't know when the wheel was invented, 200 years ago, whenever it was, or maybe it was, since the dawn of time. How do I know? Yeah, if you don't ask the question and you don't take the steps to explore other options, you're never going to know that there may be something better on the other side of that that works better based on things that we need now or things that we do now. So I feel like there's a kind of a big energy there in regards to that. Okay. So I've gone on way too long with this reading, and I have just decided that I'm going to do a part two. So we have wrapped up with January to June, and stay tuned for a part two for our yearly collective. It was so great to connect with you guys today. I am still doing my year in previews here when this video comes out in January. If you want to book a year in preview for yourself, an individual one, I promise you it's not this long. And we go into each month, we pull a card for you and get right into the nitty gritty of what's going on for you personally in your life. I also do the year in transformation service, which is really incredible because you get to do a deep dive on what your soul purpose is for this 2026 year. It can be either or, it can be both, and it's totally up to you. I will put the links in the description below. So stay tuned and we will see you for part two of 2026. Take care and transform well.